This meeting of the Dalton Select Board in order, please. This meeting is being recorded by Zoom for the purpose of taking minutes in DCTV. All those able, please stand for the pledge. Lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll do the roll call. Mr. Boyle.
Yes.
Mr. Struck. Here. Mr. Collins.
Here.
Mr. Esco.
Here.
Okay, Mr. Shapiro and Mr. Hutchinson.
Here.
Okay. Next on the agenda is minutes of February 10th.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve the minutes from February 10th, 2025, as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
There's one spot, I think, there's one correction here.
Okay.
It's not this minute, it's not these, it's another set of minutes.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve the minutes from February 24th, 2025, as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further corrections or comments? Now it's okay? Yep. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve the minutes from Monday, March 3rd, 2025, as presented.
Second.
All right, the motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further corrections or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve the minutes from Monday, March 10th, 2025, as presented.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further comments or corrections? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve the minutes from Monday, March 17th, 2025, as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further corrections or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve the minutes from Monday, March 24th, 2025, as presented.
Second.
Yes, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion or corrections? All good? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Thanks, Dan. Okay. Public to address the board. This is the time when the public may address the board on any item listed on the meeting agenda or any issue or matter of the town. If you intend to comment on an item listed on the meeting agenda, please do so at this time, as we will not be taking comments from the audience when the item comes up for board discussion. Public address to the board segment will last no longer than 30 minutes. Each individual will be given up to 3 minutes. If you intend on addressing the board, we ask you to do the following. Please raise your hand to be recognized by the board chair. Please step up to the podium and speak into the microphone. And please identify yourself by name, address, or the company/institution you represent. Please address your comments to the board chair. Please make your comments concise and try not to repeat statements made by others. Discussion or debate on any issue may not take place at this time. The chair or the designee may answer questions on procedural matters. Is there anyone that'd like to speak before? Okay, Maureen.
Maureen Mitchell, 1099 North Street in Dalton, and I have two places I'd like to comment later. And the appointments for Aurora. Aurora is present. I'd like to know how she pronounces her last name. And she won't tell you. And when you reach number 10, I want to make an offer for all the candidates running to use my front yard to promote your name for all the candidates. So when you get to 10.
Okay, yeah, well, we'll do it now, because once we discuss that, this is it, okay? This is your chance to say that now.
Okay, so you have on the 5th, you're going to have the town meeting, and you're going to get the report, but it's not going to list the candidates. I think I provided you with I'm also an election official. I provided you with a unofficial, what the ballot is going to look like, and that shows everybody's name and what they're running for. I would like those people to give me their lawn signs, and I'll group them by what they're running for, so people can recognize to whom they're going to place their vote. So 1099 North Street is right on Route 9, and I'm willing to keep track of all those pieces. Then you're going to have a candidates forum on the 24th, which is Berkshire's responsibility. I'm not sure people are aware of that. And maybe someone from Berkshire can speak to that. And for the senior center, you're going to be voting here. And it begins this is on Monday the 12th. It begins at 11 and ends at 5. So the voting is
5.
here. I'm sorry, 7. And if you care to vote by mail, you have to apply to the town clerk. And I do have some forms that you told me to leave if you haven't put a request in through the mail. You are able to vote by mail.
Is there any early voting?
The early voting will not happen like it did before. It's just you have to mail it in.
What's the deadline on the mail?
That I can't tell you.
I think the website said May 7th.
Yeah, there was a number. Yeah. So there are forms that you probably filled out that said you'd get announcements for everything. That changes when the year changes, so you may have to set up a new form. Some people assume they're going to get one mailed to them. Because we're in a new year, we have to start again.
Okay.
And I have some of those forms here, and at the town clerk, she has them as well.
Okay.
So I want to promote everybody's name. My yard is right on Route 9. The police are now slowing down the traffic. It goes by at 60 miles an hour.
That's
cool.
Right. And you're welcome, and I'll keep track of your signs and return them to you.
Maureen, just to clarify about the write-in bill, a
Okay,
write-in
mail-
ballot request. If someone has requested a mail-in ballot, at the beginning of the year, we're talking calendar years, right?
Right. It
Okay,
has-
the beginning of calendar year in January, will they receive a ballot to vote in this next municipal election?
They will not, because it changes on the calendar. If they've done a new calendar year, I have those papers here. It's simple, or you call the town clerk and she'll mail you one. The town clerk will take care of it as well.
I still don't understand. You signed up once, you're supposed to get it for every election.
If you signed up in 2024, you were set till December of 2024. You now have to set up a new one for 2025.
Okay?
And I have the paperwork here, I'll leave you a copy of what.
No, I understand, it's the calendar, okay.
Yeah, it's simple to do, and you can give her a telephone call and she'll take care of it.
All right, you can that the absentee ballot people get automatically in January to sign up.
Yeah.
That's automatic for absentee voting, but not for early voting.
Yes.
So
Right.
anybody that's on the absentee list would have gotten the notice, and then they would fill that out, and they should be all set.
For the election on May 12th,
Okay.
11 and 7.
Yeah, and it's here, easy parking. it will not be at the CRA.
Is there a reason we cut back on the additional hours?
Because it's not a full ballot. The combination is, it's got to work. You've got the sample ballot there.
Yeah. I'll pass it around.
There's a variety of offices that have multiple people, and you've got to make a decision. And then the reverse is true. There's a variety of choices where there's nobody there, and you have to write somebody in. So the Boy Scouts will be picking up the town reports, and that'll happen at the end of this week. They're going to pick them up on Friday to distribute them.
Okay.
But the names do not appear in the town report, just the offices.
All right. Thank you, Mark.
So I have a sample ballot copy, which I gave to you. How's that?
Thank you.
Thanks, Maureen.
Yes.
Lynn Griffin, I live at 33 Clark Street.
I'm talking about the sand pollution.
On July 28, 2022, the United Nations General Assembly passed a historic resolution declaring that everyone on the planet has a right to a healthy environment. We, the residents of Dalton, Massachusetts, United States of America, are being denied that right. We have been denied that right for decades by Berkshire Concrete as well as our own town. Whether through complicity or ignorance, Dalton's bylaws have been flaunted. It is time for all the town's boards to protect their constituents. I'm sorry if we show Dalton in a negative light. But if we didn't fight for our rights, who would? We have not caused the sand pollution problems. We live with it every day, and we just want it resolved. We have been shunted from one board to another, and now we're back to where we started January 3rd, 3 months ago, with the Board of Health. Again, on July 28, 2022, the United Nations General Assembly passed a historic resolution declaring that everyone on the planet has a right to a healthy environment, and Dalton is on planet Earth. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Heather?
Henry Rose, North Mountain Road. I'd like to read a statement. At the last select board meeting, no one was allowed to ask a question about the process used for choosing the town manager selection committee. With respect, I seriously object to how this was handled. It was undemocratic. Several weeks ago, many residents sat at a select board meeting and witnessed the board postponing the scheduled decision on choosing the town manager selection committee. The selectmen restarted the process and requested that all interested parties submit a letter of interest to the board. The postponement very much appeared to be in response to objections by many of us that the candidates had been chosen by only 2 of the 5 selectmen. We felt this was not democratic, and it was unacceptable that our newest selectman, Robert Collins, was excluded from the process. But we were satisfied with the restart and a new plan. Since then, 9 Dalton residents expressed interest in being on the committee. My understanding is that only 6 of the 9 submitted letters. And unfortunately, once again, only 2 selectmen privately chose the slate.
Can I respond to that? I asked every selectman, I sent out a note telling me to send the names that they had. Even Mr. Collins got that. He chose Thorpe North. Okay?
Okay. Thank you for that. That still does not change my opinion of how the entire process went.
We did it according to what the town lawyer said we could do.
Well, that's a problem. Unfortunately, once again, only 2 selectmen privately chose the slate. And once again, Collins did not have ample opportunity to review the slate. Did he see all the letters?
That's not true. I sent them all to
Did he
everyone.
see all the letters?
Everyone that I had, he saw. And I sent him a list of what the ones that didn't send them to, and your qualifications.
I'm not so sure about that, Bob.
Well, that's the way it is, man.
Furthermore, they chose all three of the candidates who did not submit letters, while rejecting qualified candidates who did submit letters. This behavior suggests a culture of cronyism and does not speak well for our town. It was inappropriate, in my opinion, to bring a slate for a vote at a public meeting. It was appropriate to bring a slate for a vote, but inappropriate not to have an executive session of a quorum of the select board to choose the slate. A majority of selectmen were excluded from the vetting process, including Robert Collins, who I voted for. This means that effectively those of us who voted for Collins were also excluded.
That's not true. That is not true.
Bob, I think that's debatable.
Well, let's hear debate.
When we vote for representative government, we have a right to be represented. You took away that right, and I question if you did what you did was actually legal.
Well, according to our town council, it was. Everybody got to vote.
Additionally, I'm aware of at least two excellent candidates for the selection committee who were rejected and, to my knowledge, received no notification. This shows a lack of appreciation, discourages volunteerism, and again, reflects very badly on Dalton. I strongly believe the select board should circle back and review all the applications with the full board before making any decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Jenny?
Good evening. My name is Jenny Gitlitz. I live at 2 Pomeroy Ave, and I'm here on behalf of the Open Space Committee. Our first question is to ask if we have a budget. We were debating that the other night. Weren't really sure if there's been a budget allocated to us. Someone said they thought there might be some money available to us. Do you know the answer to that?
Do this.
I do. This is not a place for a back and forth, but I would just say, no, the Open Space Committee, so far as I know, has not had a budget since I was here.
Okay.
And if you have other questions like that, if you can send them to me outside of this meeting, I'll answer them.
So I'm here to request $60 so that we can purchase paint because we're improving the Pines. As you know, there's a wheelchair accessible trail that's under construction now. And we also had an expert come in and look at the invasive plants and talk to us about invasive plant management. And our next step is to do trail improvement and to deal with the graffiti. And the tree expert that came advised us that it was all right. It was okay for us to use spray paint over the graffiti. Some of it's on the trees, some of it's on the rocks, some of it's obscene. And we want to make the trail friendly for families. So just want to go to the hardware store and buy some spray paint. And I think $60 will do it.
Johnny, I'll donate right there, so I'll buy the paint for it.
Excuse me?
I'll buy the paint for it. I've gone up there and painted some stuff up before because it was outrageous, the stuff that was painted up there. So I'll donate the paint for that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
We'll talk later.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, John. Anyone else? Okay.
Okay.
Pete Person, 30 Lawrence Street. I don't know how to ask for this other than we've been around and round and round, and I voiced my frustration last time I was here, but dealing with Berkshire Concrete's issues and the sand, it's like somewhere there has to be something where we can get all the boards together so that we can deal with this process without the finger pointing, go over here, go over here, go over here, go over here. Because it's clearly not working, okay? And to date, Berkshire Concrete hasn't abated anything. The sand still blows when the wind blows, still blows out of there.
They haven't done anything. And why would they? Because there's no teeth behind anything. There's ordered to by the Board of Health, but what's in order if there's no fine, there's no monetary considerations. And I know it's not your job, it's not their job, but it ought to be everybody's job. And I think at some point, everybody needs to get together, because as I said at the last meeting, this is gonna get ugly if it keeps going this way. Okay, there's people talking about all kinds of crazy things, you know, we should do this, we should do that, and I don't wanna do any of that. I want the situation resolved and fixed, so that we don't have to deal with this. So, I'm not on any town boards, I don't know what you gotta do to fix it, but there's gotta be something. Maybe somebody needs to talk to town council on this. That's all I have, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Go ahead, Mr.
Right.
Ryan.
I promised my wife I wasn't going to stand up tonight. Sorry. I have a question first. How many members of this board have actually been to the site? Raise your hand.
I just seen the pictures.
I can't believe that not everybody on every board, given what we've experienced over the last 3 to 4 months, hasn't been there to actually see what's going on. You might think you're tiring us out. Not going to happen. This neighborhood group is stronger today than it was when we started. This neighborhood group is going to continue to fight for our help. And you know what the results are? Your help, your help, your help, your help. Well, you're going to be leading, so. And everybody's helping this round. We're fighting for everybody, not just the few people who experience the day problems. I was going to call Mr. Boyle today and invite him over to my porch to take a look at what we're experiencing. And it's every day, guys. It's not all just high winds. It's every single day. And all we want is to live in this, we love this community. I've been here for 40 years when my parents moved here, and we've been back, owned 3 homes in Dalton, paid high taxes in Dalton, never complained about it, love this place, love the people. I'm getting tired of it, personally. And I know that there's a lot of other people who are going to feel the same way, unless we get this done. And I can't believe how easy it is. Take a look at Mass General Law and read the articles in Mass General Law as to what it says for nuisance problems. And I can't believe that this town doesn't use Mass General laws to determine how it's going to deal with the problems that they deal with on every board. Look at Mass General Law. You don't even have to go to the, what's it name?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You gotta understand, I've been married for well over 50 years, and I get this all the time. Yeah. But, we gotta have a light moment here because it's hard. It is really, really hard. And it's freaking sad. We got good, smart people, and we can't deal with this? It's pretty easy. It's pretty easy. Give me a role on a board. No. No? No, never mind. No. I'll tell you, it's not that difficult. It really isn't. The laws are out there, black and white. Use them. Take advantage of them. Fix the freaking problem. We don't need it. These people don't need it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Town manager updates.
Thank you. The senior center director has informed me that the Low-Income Housing and Energy Assistance Program, LIHEAP, commonly known as the Fuel Assistance Program, is scheduled for elimination, and all federal staff for the program were terminated Tuesday evening. Also, federal staffing for the Administration for Community Living, which covers Meals on Wheels and Councils on Aging, is scheduled to be cut by 40%. There's also anecdotal evidence that the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or food stamp program, is being severely reduced, with one report that a $125 per month payment is being reduced to $15 per month. The state's Attorney General's office has instituted a series of calls bi-weekly to discuss federal activity that affects state and local operations. In their first meeting, they noted that there is more uncertainty in federal funding than anyone has seen previously. Some topics included the recension of the deadline extension for ESSER programs, which is the ARPA program for schools. COVID public health funds are no longer available. The Institute of Museum and Library Services, a source of funds for local libraries, has had serious cuts. And there was a new presidential commission on state elections, which is looking into what influence the federal government can have on the election process, which has until now been run by states. Although staff and I were able to pull together everything needed for the budget and the town report and get the warrant ready for tonight, there was one misstep on my part. The question regarding the town hall HVAC borrowing does not include language regarding a ballot question. So if it passes, there will have to be a ballot question at the next opportunity, perhaps the anticipated fall special town meeting. The plumbing work and chairlift replacement were moved to the free cash article, so that work can start earlier. Please note the invitation to the Memorial Day Parade in your meeting folders. There's a phone number to reply to on the invitation. I've sent the request for proposals for a town manager search out to 3 town manager search firms. They have 3 weeks to submit their proposals, and I hope we get at least one back. As we heard before, there's a forum sponsored by iBerkshires on Thursday, April 24th here at the Senior Center for residents to meet the select board candidates and hear their responses to questions. I have planned for a pre-town meeting to review the town meeting warrant after the next select board meeting, April 28th. Unless there's strong sentiment against that, please let me know. Finally, I have conducted negotiations with the highway foreman and would like to cover that at your next meeting.
That's it.
That's my report.
Thank you. Okay, number 7, appointments. Mr. Hutchinson.
First, we have Hemi Daigneault. I'm sorry? Daigneault. Good American names. As assessor's clerk, pending the results of the pre-employment physical and drug screen, the start date of April 28th, 2025. Very pleased. I don't know if Tammy was able to be here tonight. Yes, hello. If you'd like to come up and say hello to the select board so people can see you and hear you, and just introduce who you are.
My name is Tammy Denolf, and I am pending, up and back, I will be assessors credit.
Well,
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to appoint Tammy Denal as the assessor's clerk pending the result of a pre-employment physical and drug screens to start April 28, 2025.
Second.
okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Next, we have a candidate for Council on Aging Administrative Assistant, Aurora. Do you say your name, Shustrom?
Something like that. I've never been to Sweden to be really corrected. Shostrom, Shustrom, I'm not fussy. I'm just happy to be here.
Thank you.
Or Borealis, I also respond to excuse me or hey you. Nice to meet you all.
Welcome, welcome.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to appoint Aurora Shostrom to the Council on Aging Administrative Assistant effective April 14, 2025.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. And welcome on board, same to Tammy. I'll be seeing you. Next, I'd like to nominate Craig Wilbur for the Conservation Commission, effective immediately to June 30th, at which time will be reappointed.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we appoint Craig Wilbur to the Conservation Commission effective immediately to June 30th, 2025.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Craig.
Thank you.
And finally, something we apparently did not get around to over the last couple of years, but Bud Hall has been representing the town in the Northern Berkshire Solid Waste Management District, but I would like his appointment to be ratified by the board tonight, again, effective until June 30th, when he expect will be appointed to a 2-year term, which is the district's term of membership.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we appoint Bud Hall to the Northern Berkshire Solid Waste Management District effective immediately until June 30th, 2025.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right. FY '26 budget planning and presentation, Central Berkshire Regional School District.
If you care to come up. I'll get you.
Thank you.
Yeah. There's a little feedback, just a moment.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Leslie Blake Davis. I'm the superintendent for Central Berkshire Regional School District. Can you hear me?
No.
Yeah, microphone on?
Yeah, just move a little closer.
All right, is that better?
Yes.
All right, I'll start again. Good evening, everyone. My name is Leslie Blake Davis. I'm the superintendent for Central Berkshire Regional School District. I just wanted to start out by thanking all of you for inviting us here. As you know, we could not do what we do, which is providing a high-quality education for our students without the support from all of you. This year, I have with me tonight my Director of Finance and Operations, Greg Bueno, also the Principal of Craneville School, Becky Sawyer, and our school committee member, Stephen Moranz. So I want to thank all of them also for being here. Just a little bit about the budget, the process, what it looked for us this year. It was what we do to try to figure out, what are the needs of our district. We go to our principals, we go to our administrators, we go to the schools, we talk to teachers, we meet with, we look at how our students are doing, so we look at some of obviously their assessment scores. So we do a number of things to try to figure out really where we are and what our students need so that we can continue to provide the support that they need. This year was a little bit more challenging than in the past. Revenues were somewhat down, and also our insurance rates were significantly up. They went from 7% to 16%. So that's been a challenge. So what did we do about that? A couple things. I'm just going to sort of reference I'm looking at page 5. You're going to see where it says additions. Those positions are not additions for this upcoming year, but those were positions that we added last year after the approval of the budget. We did need to add a school adjustment counselor to make sure we were meeting the mental health needs and the emotional needs of our students. They are increasing.
Excuse me, this is the document that they have.
I passed this.
Oh, you did pass them. Okay,
Yep.
I'm sorry, I didn't get it.
We added a teacher at the middle school and a shout out to the Taconic Foundation because they support that position 0.5. And that is, we call it a Bridges teacher, and that teacher is there to support our students who need additional literacy support. And just to give you an idea of how that's going, our students' attendance has risen to between 90 and 100%, and they have increased their reading capabilities about 20%. So that's going very well. We're keeping that in place. We did add an L teacher. Those are for some of our students who speak English as a second language. And this is for us to stay in compliance with the state. And again, a special education teacher at Craneville. And this again is to make sure we're in compliance with that we're supporting students with disabilities at Craneville School. We did also implement some decreases. So we decreased a Title I tutor at Wacona High School. We decreased an instructional coach, an administrative assistant, three classroom teachers. One of the other things that we did, we really look, again, like I said, we try to be efficient, strategic. We looked at scheduling, we looked at enrollment, we looked at class sizes. Some of the things we did there is we were able to reduce a 0.5. We were able to take one of our special education teachers, reallocate resources, and make sure our students at the high school had a student support center, which is just a good practice. That means instead of suspending someone, you pull them aside and you make sure they have the tools that they need to feel successful in school. We were able to reallocate a science teacher from Wacona to Nesicus because those numbers are going up somewhat. We were able to take a classroom teacher position and add it as a 0.5 reading interventionist at the two smaller schools, Beckett and Kittredge, which they do not have right now. And we were able to look at the English schedule at the high school and reduce that load for one of the teachers to 0.5 so that our high school students could also have an ELA interventionist. So that's sort of where we are. Had we done any more, made any more reductions, I think where that would have put us in a position where we were making profound impacts or profound reductions to our budget, which I think would have had profound impacts to our students. And again, we're very proud of the education that we provide and the support we provide for our students. So I'll turn it over to my Director of Finance and Operations.
So the couple things I'm going to point out is on the next couple of slides, our big story this year was the revenue changes. Our revolving accounts and our grants, there were multiple changes happen. We had a couple that went away. For instance, ESSER, we had to use that up by FY24. But we also had a student opportunity act that sunsetted this past in FY25. With that happening, with those grants, we were able to use some of our reserves We are using school choice funds this year of about 340,000. We have not been touching that because we knew we were to come to a point where we would have to start using those school choice funds. Another thing we are doing, we do receive rural aid from the state. Last year we received 1.6 million. The one piece to that where it's different than our Chapter 70 Chapter 78, you get ideas of what it looks like now as the governor's budget's out, House Ways and Means. Rural aid, as it has in the past, it fluctuates. It's in the governor's budget, it comes out, it goes back in, so it's kind of an unknown, but we've been receiving it pretty consistently. So the school committee decided to use 1.2 million from that to help offset the cost next year. So last year we used just over 700,000, now we're moving it up to 1.2. With all that said, our revenues, other than local funds and state aid, is down about 270,000. So the one thing the school committee did decide to do is we have E&D, similar to what the towns have free cash. In the past, we've used all of our E&D the next year, leaving 250 in the bank, so all but 250. This year, we're going to use all of it. There will be no money left over at the end of E&D to start next year's E&D. They've always kept it there in case of the students out of district, comes in and they're out of district, we have to pay that bill in September and we didn't budget for it, at least you had some kind of cushion. But in order to keep our town assessments as low as we can, we decided to use all of E&D. We are also anticipating to see a small increase in our, not small, about 9% our Chapter 71 aid. That is our reimbursement for our transportation from the state. That's been pretty consistently rising, so we're hoping to see that as well. With all those changes said, our town assessments are sitting at a 3.97, with Dalton's at a 3.67, and that is for our operating assessment. Capital is separate. We are seeing a large increase in our capital assessment for the towns. Overall, it's 299,000. That is due to the Wacona building project. If you remember when we first were doing the project, we went out to bond for 80% of the project because you really don't know the exact number it's going to come in at the end of the day. So we've been temporary banning whatever remaining amount each year. So each year we've been doing a temporary ban for 12 months. We're at a point where we're hoping by June or August, the MSBA will be finishing up their audit and we can go out for a permanent bond for the Wacona building project. So that increase is seen in the capital budget. We should not be seeing any other changes unless a new project comes up for our capital. So that should be going down as we start paying off some of the interest. That is our budget.
When do you see our capital projects coming up in the future?
So we have we have three big ones probably in the next 5 to 10 years being roofs. So we have our Becca Washington roof, our Kittredge roof, and our Nessus roof that are going to have to be addressed. And we're thinking in that order. So Becca Washington's our first priority. We're going to start those conversations with the towns of Becca and Washington as they're the ones kind of housing the kids at that school. But that's probably the first one we're going to start a conversation about next year.
Do you have a dollar figure associated with it?
Each one, I have them. I know Beckett's is a little over $1 million. Kittredge's is upwards of $2 million because of the size of the school and there's two different kind of roofs. And I believe Nescus is right around $2 million too. But that is our third. That one we have some issues with, but it's nothing like Becca Washington where we're seeing issues every day.
Is there any other capital projects or is that pretty much?
I know there's some that have been thrown around, one being the bleachers at Wacona for the football. They're very dated. They're, I think, on the edge of being dangerous, but that's not one of them. I mean, if we're bringing a roof or bleachers, the roof's going to be the conversation first. But other than that, no, I don't have any on my major capital projects.
I think one of the great things that the school should be complimented on. From seeing it, this is my first year going through this budget process and seeing some of our other accounts within the town having large interest booms that, you know, everybody got hit with health insurance. You know, in our own town, we had people, you know, the budgets were up 9%, 7%, 11%. I compliment the school. You guys worked hard, and I think that the public needs to understand that you guys really worked hard at this, and you to get in that 3.9, 3.7%. And my hats are off to you for my first year going through this process. I
I actually thought I was gonna see a 12-14% from you guys from some of the other budgets we got in this town that were TA. And hats off to you guys, and I think the public needs to understand that. I think you guys really dug deep to get to where you got to it.
And that's, we really tried to use as many of the reserves to get the town assessments where they were. The one thing I do want to say that's changing in the next budget is we've been funding our OPEB trust at 400,000 each year. That's been in our budget for about 6 or 7 years at this point. That is dropping to 50,000. We're at a point where, while you can do that, that's great, but we can't be funding that when we're having a conversation about teachers and staff.
Then the other question is the one fund that you, 250,000 that you said is going to be empty, what happens at the middle of the year, halfway through the year, we have 3 kids move in, what is our backup?
So we
plan
do
for that?
still have school choice. We have enough school choice, and what our plan has been all along is when we don't know what we're gonna receive in rural aid next year, school choice is our backup. So if we receive no rural aid because of the state's moving funds around, we do have enough school choice funds to cover that and maybe a little bit more.
You got a backup.
We got a backup, but but if that happens, once that backup's gone, that's the reserves we have.
Okay.
Yes. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. Looking at the contractual increases for this year, do you expect that to be the same next year, or is there a dip in those? I assume that's a 3-year.
So that's where we're kind of like in a limbo at this point. So our 2 biggest units are paraprofessionals and teachers. They are both in contract negotiations right now. So we don't know what this should be enough to cover next year. I would think it's at least going to be consistent or maybe a little less in following years.
And my second question, I notice you, of course, have zeroed out the ESSER
Yes.
funding for next year. We did just hear that there was kind of a freeze on ESSER funding. And is that affecting you now, or would that affect you next year?
No, so that
It
doesn't.
was a recension of a deadline.
Right, the ARPA, so that doesn't affect us. I think that affects school districts that are part of municipalities, like a Lenox or Pittsfield. I think they had longer to use those funds. We had to use our ESSER funds by September of 2024. So we couldn't carry it forward any further than that.
Okay.
Without any special okays from the state or from the federal government, which we didn't reach out for.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll just say, compliment it, same thing, especially this year with the challenges with the health insurance. It's great, but as you go, you get great products up there. Three children at the end of this story.
Thank you. We did try really hard. I think the thing I didn't say is, it's not easy to balance. It isn't easy to balance the needs of our towns. We know that, that's a challenge. We know that, what we ask of you is not always easy. And you can't even imagine how much your support means to us. And, I'm fortunate enough to walk the halls every day, or most days, or a lot of days, if I can get out of my office and see what it means to the kids. It means a lot, and our families, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
TA?
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Hutchinson, about the one. Oh, I'm sorry. All right.
Good evening.
Andrew's dog on the loose here.
So in front of you, you have the police report from the incident that enacted this, a little statement, and I will go over it a little faster. You also have in front of you a printed copy of Chapter 140, Section 157, which is what this hearing falls under, just in case anybody needs to reference it a little bit. So on the afternoon of March 11th, 2025, Officer Eichstead and Sergeant Miller responded to 2 Home Terrace for a dog attack versus another dog. The dog attacking was kept by Mr. Costello of 11 Holmes Terrace. That's who the hearing is going to be against. The dog's name is Bear. Going through, Officer Eichstead did handle the initial report. I handled the follow-up for it. The Bear did go up to the residents at 2 Home Terrace and did attack their dog, causing some severe injuries. Several vet visits that cost some headaches, along with some potentially serious if left untreated injuries, specifically to the genital area of their dog. Mr. Costello's dog was placed into a 10-day quarantine as required by Mass General Law by my other hat as the animal inspector. During that time, Mr. Costello's dog got out an additional 2 times. Those incidents were reported to the Department of Agricultural Resources for them to handle from their side. He was cited for failure to restrain his dog for both the March 11th incident and the 2 subsequent ones, which were the 14th and the 18th of March, all of this year. As of today at approximately 3 p.m., all 3 citations have gone unpaid. Previously, before this major incident, there was one other encounter at the beginning of February. I believe it was the 5th. Yes, it was. Where Mr. Costello's dog got out and ran to the house at 9 Home Terrace. There was not any physical encounter with the dogs at 9 Home Terrace. They do have a few huskies there. However, Mr. Costello did follow his dog out immediately to get them. So not to say that we could not have had a similar, if not worse, incident had he not noticed immediately for that first incident. Long story short, in my opinion, this dog, in my professional opinion, this dog does prove to be a danger to the citizens. He has not had an incident with a person. It has only been dogs, but people are going to defend their dogs. And the dogs are going to defend themselves. So it's only a matter of time before this dog gets out and tries to attack somebody, and a person gets bit by it trying to protect their dog. So that is the reason for this hearing today. If any of you have any questions?
Were you able to make service upon Mr. Costello as this hearing was being held?
To my knowledge, it was. That is in both municipalities I've worked for in the past, handled by somebody that's not me, as I'm the one requesting the hearing.
Tom, were you able to make service upon Mr. Costello and give a confirmation that he was served about this hearing?
I don't have confirmation of that, but,
Previously, it was served by your office for the previous ones we've had.
oh, okay. Sorry, this is the first one I've had.
Dog isn't licensed, right?
The dog is not licensed. Mr. Costello, in this case, is not considered the owner of the dog. He's considered the keeper of the dog. It's just different terminology. He was stating that he was keeping the dog for somebody else, and that the dog would most likely end up living with him. It was not licensed. He was not able to provide me any names of who owned the dog and where the dog.
He's not the true owner. He's sort of adopted it or took it in.
He's the keeper of the dog.
Keeper of the dog. And it hasn't had its shots either, rabies shots?
Not that I've been able to verify, and I've called around to vets under his name, but like I said, he wouldn't tell me who owned the dog previously.
I'm going to make a recommendation, sorry John to interrupt, I'm going to make a recommendation that we table this to the next hearings. I want to make sure that he's notified. Whether he decides to show up or not, that's fine, but I think we need to notify him of this hearing.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion.
I have a few more questions.
Okay.
Can you hold on to that?
Sure. Go.
What would your recommendation be to this board?
My recommendation would be that this dog be deemed dangerous. And if you look at the packet for the Mass General laws, there's a couple options in there. Mine would be to, I just want to make sure I read the proper one. would be to impose under section four, subsection C, and then 3 under that. When removed from the premises of the owner or the premise of the person keeping the dog shall be securely and humanely muzzled and restrained with a chain or tethering device having a minimal tensile strength of 300 pounds and not exceeding 3 feet. That puts more of a even closer limit as to an even tighter restriction on the leash law than is normal for most people. In addition to that, there is one other additional section, which I want to make sure I give you the right one. Directly above it, too, that the dog shall be confined to the premise of the keeper of the dog, provided, however, that confined shall mean securely confined indoors or confined indoors in a securely enclosed and locked pen or dog run upon the premise of the owner or keeper, provided further that such pen or dog run shall have a secure roof, and if such enclosure has no floor, secured to the sides thereof. The sides shall be embedded into the ground for not less than 2 feet, and provide further that within the confines of such pen or dog run, a doghouse and proper shelter from the elements shall be provided to protect the dog. I think both of those combined ensure that he has options for how he can properly take care of his dog, while also ensuring that the dog does not get out and cause harm to the public.
But he's shown by his track record against his huge site that he is not complying with any leash laws or any such thing. So, I mean, what good is it gonna do for this board to vote that he be responsible for taking these actions when he's shown that he's not
Failure to
of the mind to comply with any actions?
Failure to comply with an order of a hearings authority,
Yeah,
it results in a non-criminal complaint to Central Berkshire District Court, where they will make a ruling on if he shall pay the fines, which is the next section, section 157A, which is the section after that. You do not have it, but it's the enforcement of it, which can result in even heftier fines than I can impose for normal leash law, along with possible incarceration.
I mean, if we continue this or not, it doesn't matter. But if he violates these things, conditions that we would set at your request, and he disobeys them, then your course of action would be to Central Berkshire District Court?
He would get a non-criminal complaint to Central Berkshire District Court for it. I don't know if you remember the last hearing we had, but they did not listen to it once. It went to Central Berkshire District Court, and they didn't show up to court, and essentially they got arrested for not keeping their dog on a leash.
And yourself, as the animal control officer, have a complaint, if someone complains that this dog is running around terrorizing their dog or people, and then what would you do?
After this order,
No, I couldn't leave here tonight.
if it happens when I leave here now,
Yeah.
the only course of action that I have is to get the dog, attempt to return it to the owner, and write another citation if applicable.
You just go capture it and return it to the owner.
Legally, we have to. Legally, we can't take somebody's dog. Dogs in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts fall under property and meet the same rights as the Fourth Amendment. We can't seize somebody's dog just
You're
because it's out.
just threatening somebody.
As we have to, in our best way possible, humanely capture and return it to the owner.
All right, thanks. You point out all the options to the board pretty well.
We can't mandate that we know who the owner of this dog is. You can't mandate.
If somebody doesn't want to tell me, I can't force somebody to tell me who it is. The State Department of Agricultural Resources, who handles the quarantine side of it that I submit the paperwork to, they can do more, but that's been submitted to their state inspectors, which we rarely get updates from them. Even they're stretched extremely thin. There are a handful of field inspectors for the entire Commonwealth.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Table this.
To when?
The next meeting,
Our
I
next meeting.
want to make sure notification.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you guys, I don't think,
Who's gonna notify him? That's what I wanna know. You're gonna know?
Yeah.
Okay.
but he's pretty much free to ignore it because he's not actually the owner.
So this order goes against the dog.
Uh-huh.
So this order follows the dog, not the owner. So whoever the keeper of the dog is in the time of the incident. So, for example, if I own a dog and there's an order against my dog and I give my dog to a family member, they are now considered the keeper of the dog while I'm still the owner.
Yep.
But if something happens while my family member has a dog, they would be the ones charged with this because
Okay.
Okay.
What's next meeting? 28?
Yes, 28. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Dan?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Levi.
Thank you, Levi.
thank you.
Okay, number 10, discussion for the warrant on May 5th, 2020.
Yeah, after town council review, there was only one substantive change. Some of the language was changed in some of the articles, but the substantive change was that for the items for the HERO Act, the two sections that the town would consider were split apart into two different articles. So the numbering of the articles has changed after Article 16.
What happens if, the good folk approve one and don't approve the other one?
They are two different ones. The first one is for a much more major increase. The second one is for the 5% increase that would be on top of that, or taken separately. They are separable.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chairman, I, for one, would like to see this board take a stand on the last three petition articles.
Jim, we can take that.
Okay? One moment, I'll have to do it one at a time.
One at a time, yeah? Go ahead, John.
Well, okay. Actually, I would prefer to do it in reverse order.
Okay.
The last one being the article that invokes a recall for elected officials in the town of Dalton at the behest of only 50 people signing it. So if 50 people sign this petition to recall the board, or a member of the board, that's all it takes. I mean, I, for one, think that we already have an excellent, outstanding recall system in effect. And some people call it an election. So I would move that this be given a negative opinion, a recommendation to the town's voters.
Is there a second?
For discussion purposes, I'll second it.
Okay.
Well, basically, it's what I just said.
Yeah.
I think it's totally unneeded, uncalled for, and there's no inkling, and hey, you know, I go back a long way. I don't think I've ever seen anybody in town government that would meet this criteria that's been elicited in this petition. If we don't like an elected official, on the 12th, there's an election, vote them out. It's that simple.
I agree with you, John.
John, I think this is for extreme extreme circumstances. If, I understand that you have the election, but somebody gets elected in, and you have them for 3 years before you can do anything about it. This is for, I would say, this is extreme, this is an extreme case.
But we haven't had any extreme cases. They never warranted this type of action.
Then what's the worry?
Well, I just think it's unnecessary bureaucracy myself, and it's unneeded.
Justice, to be honest.
Little. 50 voters is too little.
Yeah, 50 voters.
It should be more. If 50 voters do not elect a selectman or any town office, how many people voted in the last local election? If you look at that statistic and see how many people actually vote for a select board candidate, it's over 300 voters for a candidate. 50 voters?
That's,
If I can draw your attention to section 4, the section 2, which says the 50 registered voters may initiate a recall containing this, and then the town clerk supplies petition blanks based on that. Section 4 says that, second sentence, the recall petition before being returned and filed shall bear the signatures and residentials of no less than 50% of the voters who participated in the last annual town election. So that's actually a larger number. It's not 50 who can initiate a vote. It's 50 initiates the petition, and then you need...
It's still only 10% of the registered voters. There's 5,000 registered voters. 50% of the last election would be around 400.
I'm just
Yeah,
clearing
I know
up,
what you're saying.
I'm clearing up that.
Yeah, but I think you've left out some important points.
I made the only points I wish to make.
Okay.
and they only have 4 business days, John. It says right there, the said recall petition shall be submitted to the town clerk and to the registrars of voters, when the registrars shall, within 4 days, certify. So 50%, you only have, I can't, it's like 10 days to collect that number of votes. So it would be a regis.
We get 20 days.
20 days.
20 working days and 4 days to serve.
Bob, I just think that I stick to my original position.
I agree with
There's
you, John.
absolutely no reflection on any elected
Elected.
official I've seen in this town in the last 30 years that ever warranted this type of action, and this would be a smear on their character by a small minority.
Open up for
Yeah.
lawsuits, honestly, to be honest with you.
This is, let the town vote on this, John.
Well, of course, they're gonna vote.
Well, they are gonna vote on it. I just asked if we give a negative recommendation, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my motion. I think.
Call for a vote. All those in favor of John's motion, say aye.
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 The opposed?
Opposed.
4 to 1.
Okay, the next one is, going backwards, the stretch code. Now, yesterday, in this very room, and some of the members are here today from the Green Committee. The Green Committee takes exception, strong exception, for multiple reasons. And one of them, the fact that they would not be eligible for future grants and may be retroactively asked for the money back that we have gotten from grants in the past, if this stretch code is eliminated. And the Green Committee yesterday asked that everyone energize themselves and to bring a negative disposition of this article also.
Oh, it's on there, one more?
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you,
Okay.
Tom.
John, you making a motion?
Yes, I move that we give a negative recommendation to the rescinding of the stretch code regulation.
I'll second that.
Okay, a motion's been made, seconded, any further discussion? Dan?
No, I'll just take the vote when you guys are ready.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Opposed?
3-2.
And the final one is to create a planning committee for long-term capital improvements. Well, it sounds like to me, this is just another extension of the bureaucracy. We have a very dedicated select board and town manager are quite aware of our plans for the next 5 years and even after that. And we have the finance committee who sits in and chimes in all the time with information regarding their thoughts on long-term planning. But now we're gonna have a separate committee. You know, mind you now, there's gonna be a committee that's probably gonna meet once in a while, where the town manager, the new town manager, will have, just as the former town manager had, at his disposal, all the important financial people, town accountant, town treasurer, town planner, to, on a daily basis, to review and articulate a long-term plan, plus the highway superintendent. I just think that this proposal is just an extension of the bureaucracy. Plus, it outlines who's going to be appointed to it, and I noted what's conspicuous by its absence, probably on purpose, no select board member. So I move that we give this article a negative recommendation also.
Is there a second? Second. Okay, motion's been made, seconded, is there any discussion?
I'll just say, I agree that we should be doing some planning, but I also agree that somebody on the select board should be on there. And I do feel that that would be a really slight, which I would support this if it hadn't select board on it, but like I said, it is deliberately absent there.
I believe the intent of this is to try to come up with a group, just like a planning committee with the financial committee, to try to see some of the upcoming expenses that are being missed or can be worked on in the house in the committee. Maybe there should be a select board member on there, but at the same time, I believe that the intent of this article is to help the town of Dalton grow and move forward, projecting some of the major expenses that we could see in the near future.
Who's gonna name these people?
Yeah. Anyway, answer your question, Bob. That's all well and good, but you already have the people in place. What are we gonna do? Eliminate it? To do this, ascertain projects in the future. I can name you 5 or 6 projects we already got, working with the town manager that are maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 years down the road. That's planning and financial planning, looking for funding for them. I just think this is redundant and just an additional bureaucracy committee. And the finance committee is very much involved in the planning financially. Not taking words out of your mouth on my building.
Okay, I'll call for a vote.
Yep.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye. Dan?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Okay. Yeah, I'm totally against it, number one, if only see who's gonna name these.
Yeah,
I can tell you, just by how it's written,
yeah,
who wants to be on this committee.
it's obvious. And the rest of the articles are all pretty much standardized articles. There is one important article on there for people that aren't aware. There was a provision in the Town Manager Act that dictated that the town manager be a resident of the town of Dalton. Well, that seriously limits any search committee and the board of selectmen in making a selection for a professional town manager. In fact, Tom's a perfect example of that. He had to move here to Dalton. And there's an article on there to rescind that criteria for a town manager. Right?
Okay. Entertain a motion to accept the warrant.
Second, I'm good, Tom. Sorry.
Motion to accept the warrant.
Second.
A motion been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you very much. We do have it here, and Lori is a notary, so we'll be notarizing it as well.
Okay. Dan, can you stop over and sign it sometime?
Tomorrow morning.
Event request.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve the CRA's request to hold their annual open day CRA softball parade on Saturday, May 3rd from 8 a.m. to 8:30.
For a second?
Second.
All those in
Leave
favor?
it, God, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve the buddy walk Saturday, September 27th, 2025.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
It's an awesome thing to do. Okay, now we're gonna open as the sewer commission.
Make a motion to open as the sewer commission.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, sign the sewer commission letters of warrant.
Mr. Chair, just to note that this is not setting the sewer rate. This is just setting the warrant, which is collecting the fees based on the rate that has been set for this fiscal year.
Tom, when do we usually set the sewer rate?
I think it's in the fall.
Yeah, it's usually the fall.
Make a motion we sign and approve the sewer commission warrant.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Dan, can we sign these tomorrow also?
Yes.
Okay, we have a sewer abatement.
Yes, we have the first, we have the bills stapled to the back of the sewer warrant. There are 3 bills for $282, which the assessor is requesting to be abated. The first one, 29 Cliff Street, there's a clerical error. The water has been shut off since a year ago. The second one, well, the names don't seem to match up, but we'll use, the second set of sheets is 2 explanations, both of them being that the water is off and that it was a clerical error on the assessor's side.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the abatement for 29 Cliff Street in the amount of $295.24 because of a clerical error.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to close the sewer commission.
Second.
I'm sorry, there was another abatement, I think, on the, oh, no, I'm sorry, that's the same one.
That's the same one.
Sorry about that. Thank you.
Got a motion and a second.
Okay. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, now we're opening as a license board.
Make a motion, we open this licensing board.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of opening as a licensing board?
Aye.
Aye.
The first license we have is a hawker peddler license. The name of the business is Ice Cream Brothers LLC. However, you may know the applicant as Mr. Dingaway.
Silas?
Mr. Chairman, make a motion, we approve the Hawkers and Peddlers license for Ice Cream Brothers and Limited Liability Corporation.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Second, we have an application for a taxi cab livery license from Richard Hall, known for staying through select board meetings until this business comes up. Thank you for being here.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion, we approve the taxi cab livery license for Richard Hall, doing business as Commercial Shuttle Limited Liability Corporation.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion, we close as a licensing board.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, now, we have the easement for the Citizens Energy Solar Project.
Yes, and this easement is actually to Eversource. This is the very final step that needs to be taken for the solar project on the former Warren landfill.
Correct.
I can't tell you how much it took to get to this point, but Eversource dragged its feet for quite a while. The lawyers went back and forth talking about the form of the easement. It's only $1. It just lets them go over town property on poles that are on town property.
Okay, so now we'll get our money back.
Yes, when this project starts, we will get all taxes and fees on the Warren property back, and that's well over 20 years.
It's like $400,000.
Hundreds of thousands.
And we are guaranteed to get that before any kind of permits are issued or construction is started.
That is the first condition of the special permit.
Okay.
And the planning board
Yes.
reestablished that, 3 meetings ago.
Great work, Bob. That needed to really be in
We
there.
actually even
Make sure the money is paid from, what's the name of the company? Energy something?
N-Star,
Yeah. Anyway, it's paid directly to the town.
Yep.
And not to the
Yep.
property holders who, obviously, if they never pay any property taxes on it, all they would do is take the 400,000,
and walk away.
yeah, and walk away.
We actually, even before, we had to extend their permit, their special permit.
Yes.
And we actually tried to get a motion passed that they had to pay 50% of it before we would give them that, and they negotiated that they had 3 months, and we should see a check here coming in another month and a half.
Great work. Great work by the planning board on that issue.
Okay, I'll take a motion
Mr.
to,
Chairman, I make a motion to approve the easement to the N-Star Electric Company doing business as Eversource Energy.
Second.
motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, and I'm sorry, it's this document that has to be notarized.
There's 2 documents, not one.
Oh,
Okay.
well,
We're only
Yes.
signing one, right?
It's the easement and the warrant. The warrant goes on.
oh, right.
We gotta sign a warrant after this. Okay.
And,
Okay.
no.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
One second.
Yeah.
Max accusing himself.
All sorts of things for you to sign tomorrow, Dan.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Tom.
Second, as discussed before, we have an amendment to the contract of the Dalton Patrol Officers Union, which is carried forward from their former agreement. Both sides forgot to include this in the body of the contract, so we're just continuing it as a side agreement going forward. This is a stipend based on a change in working conditions of the officers now wearing body cameras.
Tom, in light of the last place you left us, there was that finance committee had withheld approval of the police budget.
That has been resolved.
Oh, that's what my question. I just wondered if we should do this, if it was, hey, Billy, give yourself a pat on the back. Okay. Thank you. So we can approve it.
Okay, motion to,
Motion to approve, wait a minute, the,
Side agreement?
I can't,
okay, motion to approve the signed side agreement between the town of Dalton and the Dalton Patrol Officers Union.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
So now we have a joint recommendation for the police budget to bring to the town meeting.
Yes. A single number.
A single number. Great. That's what we like.
And next, we have a request from the Dalton Community Cable Association to transfer the charter communication franchise fees from the town to the Dalton Community Cable Association.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to transfer the franchise fee of $26,976.75 from Charter Communications to the Dalton Community Cable Association.
Thank you.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further questions or concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay.
And next on the agenda, we have the only person in town with more patience than Richard Hall.
Mr. Tony.
And discussing a composting program for the town.
Thank you. All right, thanks, Tom. Gentlemen, this presentation was made Saturday at our forum here, and it was intended to come here first, but given your agenda, we're here tonight. And thanks to the Green Committee members that are here, and I want to preface my remarks by thanking the Green Committee for their support in getting us across the line, and in particular Bud Hall. This wouldn't have happened without his support. This is a win-win-win situation. This was going back some 3 years where we visited Egremont model and Williamstown model, and we've adopted the Williamstown model, which I'll speak to. But basically, our landfill is capped. However, it is emitting methane. And if you have that report in front of you, you'll see that only 5% of municipal solid waste was composted in the United States. This accounts for 14% of our methane gas produced, which is a greenhouse gas. The Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection Solid Waste Plan mandates a recommendation of 30% reduction of municipal solid waste by 2030, compared to 2018 levels, and 90% reduction by the year 2050. We have to start composting. Composting is good for the environment, and of course it can be used in terms of fertilization and growing.
We're not the first on board. There are many communities around us, including Windsor now, Williamsburg, Goshen, Worthington. And basically our program is this: we are going to accept all food scraps. The only exception to that is animal litter. No animal litter permitted, that is toxic. And our monitor at the landfill station is aware of that, and in fact, he put us onto that, and he'll be monitoring that. So protein includes fish, chicken, fats, oils, anything of that nature. We'll have to be careful in terms of discarding any non-biodegradable bags and what have you. There are 2 stickers available to our community. A $120 sticker is for everything, and a $60 sticker is strictly for recycling. So that $60 sticker will be available for everyone if they so choose. Save that $60 not to use anything beyond recycling at a landfill station. The participants can drop off their compost. When the station is open, they'll be responsible for whatever containers they bring on. And basically, Bud has refurbished the old shed there by the brush pile. He did it over the summer. I know when he will return sometime next month, he'll set that in. It will be across from the attendance office. So when people come, they will discard accordingly, go across the way, and drop their compost. In the summer months, what with odor, there'll be a container, a tote of sawdust, and if we have to, take that sawdust, put it on top, and hopefully ameliorate any odor, so to speak. There'll be 32, 48, 64 gallon totes, and we'll size up accordingly. We projected that 50 households will participate, and that projected is based on Williamstown, who ran a pilot program for a year and now are in their first year under the DPW. These totes will be picked up weekly, bi-weekly, depending on the use. We hope that more people use it, and they'll be replaced with clean totes. So again, that's their responsibility. They will be certified under DEP. This will then be delivered to a certified location specific to Berkshire County. Let's see. We hope to educate the public further, but it's fairly straightforward. We now belong to Northern Berkshire Solid Waste Management, and currently our waste is hauled to the Canadian border some 350 miles away. That's not a good thing. Community composting will be specific to Berkshire County. We produce 372 tons of municipal solid waste, 57 hauls, $180 a haul, 120 a ton. And I mention that because those figures were used in terms of calculating savings. We now have 570 landfill permits. And we have trash label bags, the green for the large, $4 each, and the yellow for $3 each, and there'll be savings based on this. So, as I said, we'll start with 50 households, and we've converted from weight to volume, because compost is measured or charged on a volume basis. And those are that 32, 48, 64 totes, so to speak. We've done our calculations, and we estimate that Dalton will save approximately $620 annually in terms of savings that wouldn't go to hauling that away. In addition to this, Dalton will pick up points. It's a virtuous circle, so to speak. The state is reimbursing us, given a program called Recycling Dividend. It's the Recycling Dividend Program, another acronym, RDP. We received $38.50 in 2023. I believe it was close to $4,500 in 2024. When we do this, we'll pick up additional points and additional dollars. I want to just point out something here, which is, I just learned from Linda Cernak, who heads the Northern Berkshire Waste, and she made it very clear to me that the state is going to make sure that if we're to pick up this extra point or additional dollars, we have to publicize community composting on our website. And I say that because the town administrator's office had 2 assistants, an executive assistant and a part-time one. That part-time one did a newsletter and also posted to our website. We have to have somebody post this if indeed we're going to have that return. And she was very clear about that. So I can only ask that if that position can be kept, that's important. And that
position will be used for a number of things in terms of posting community information in the future. Savings to Dalton's household, that's extremely speculative, but we would hope that at least one green bag or yellow bag would be saved per month. So again, the user will be saving at least $36 to $48 a year, excuse me. And for some households, it'll be more, but I think at a minimum that would be the savings. So again, good for the environment, good for our community, our town, and good for our consumers.
Thank you, Tony. Great work.
Hey, great work, Tony.
Thanks.
Any questions?
Tony, why can't the composting, I know we have quite a large pile of leaves that Bud manages, why can't the composting be implemented into the leaves and be composted with the leaves?
Well, that was what I said earlier, the Egremont model. So when I visited with Tom Irwin 3 years ago, we went to Egremont, and their program has been in place for 12 years. They've calculated some savings of $100,000. And I was very for that program, but it puts more of an onus on our DPW. So if you go to Egremont, you're going to see 3 sections of concrete blocks, 1, 2, 3, and the DPW will take your waste and move it accordingly. The problem with that model is that it's going to attract critters.
Okay.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
The good part about that model is when you hit that third bin, you get to use that compost. So it really is a real virtuous cycle, but your DPW has to be on top of that. The critters have to be accounted for. That was a big issue in Greenfield, and I think it was a major issue. They had to shut it down. Okay. So I was keen on that, but again, given manpower and implementation, the Williamstown model, it's self-contained, it's closed off.
Right. And then, will that compost, I see there's a trucking fee. I'd like to think maybe that's going to Holiday Farm?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Okay.
I think Bud's putting out bids. There's really only 2 composts. I think it's Tommy's and Second Chance. Second Chance was very helpful in terms of coming up with some figures in terms of savings, so that's where it should go.
Okay.
So he'll get the benefit in terms of the resale of the black gold business.
Okay.
Thank you, Tony.
Okay? Yep.
Think so? Pete?
Okay. Future agenda items. I have one. Saturday, I was at the Boy Scout Court of Honor. There were 6 Eagle Scouts promoted. I'd like to have them come before the board. And we used to give them certificates signed by the board for their accomplishments. And
Okay, we can
I would
do
like to
that.
schedule them for the next meeting if possible. I'll send you the names. Anyone else?
I did have a question. Maybe I missed this, but why do we move the town manager update to the beginning of the agenda? It was always at the end. Ken, you want to address that?
I believe it was to allow the town manager to provide their own update independent of the board's agenda. And, you know, frankly, a lot of the stuff that is covered in the agenda sometimes is mentioned in the town manager update that can provide important context for more discussion further on.
I
That was-
just think that we have these large groups of people here that are here for significant reasons that's important to them. And they're not that interested in town manager update. It's not inside baseball. So I'd like to see a return to the end of the manager, end of the agenda.
I think people are interested to hear what the town manager is working on, but certainly everyone's entitled to their opinion. If you want to put it to the end.
Or it was before, yeah.
We can certainly consider that, but like I said, sometimes he'll go over stuff that we already talked about. I don't know, I'm just trying to remove duplication and keep it more efficient, but whatever the pleasure of the board is, I really, at this point, I'm okay if you guys want to change it, it's fine.
How's everybody feel?
I do, we put it on the future agenda.
Okay.
Very good thing going on right now.
Okay. Yeah, it's down on the agenda item, we'll put it on there. Put it on for next, agenda next time.
I'd like to bring up, from our joint meeting with the building committee, at the end of that, Dan, John, and Mark, after you left Bob, for the other meeting, we talked about communication and getting information back, feedback from the town. And, I'd like to see that we put on, flash vote onto a future agenda for polling the people in the town of Dalton. And, possibly, have a, presentation by the owner or CEO, Jason.
Yeah, we will do that.
Just get the sanity out there with the thing here. And I got buttonholed by Tony Pegro, and they already have some type of a plan not in action yet, but they're real happy with, they're reaching out to all the voters, not all the voters, all the homeowners, taxpayers. And I forgot the details of it, Bob, but somewhere, you know, you get something in the mail, you fill it out, there's like 10 questions, I guess, in the survey, and there's something on the paper that you just scan into your computer and it gets registered.
I think that's.
That's the same thing?
That's a form of flash vote.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they're already talking about it.
We'll have a meeting with them in a couple of weeks anyway,
Yeah.
so we'll discuss it there, okay? All right, anything else? Okay. Items not anticipated 48 hours before the meeting. Remarks of the select board. Any? Okay. The announcements. Town is seeking volunteers, including for its cultural council, responsible for reviewing arts and culture grant proposals and approving projects. If you're interested in being on the Dalton Housing Authority Board, please call Sue Gregory at 684-2493. For other volunteer opportunities, please visit the town's website. The winning parking ban will end tomorrow, April 15th. It's slow, it may not. The town is contracted with Colonial Power to provide an electricity plan for town residents. For more details to opt out or in, visit the town website, call the town's manager's office. The town of Dalton currently has the following employment opportunities: town manager, DPW seasoned laborers, recording secretary. Please visit the town website or contact the town manager's office for more information. Dalton's official meetings, postings, agendas, and minutes can be viewed at mygovernment.org.01226. We also are looking for questions for the forum on April 24th for the candidates who are running for select board. Please send them in to iBirch. The next meeting of the regular select board is scheduled to take place on Monday, April 28th, 2025 at 7 p.m. at the Senior Center with an option for remote participation.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Don't forget to sign the warrant.
I don't know if I second.